All right. Welcome to Michael's Record Collection. This is a show that basically we just celebrate music, and you've got a new album out, 26 East Volume 2, and I want to definitely get into that a bit. But the first thing I wanted to ask you about, I know, of course, everybody says seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show changed their life kind of thing. You've been on record with that. But what I want to ask you is, when you were young, like, what were your first favorite records?
I'm old. So they're not rock records because when I started listening to music, with the 78s that my parents had, rock and roll wasn't even invented yet. So anything I would mention to you would go, what? It's stuff from the hit parade that was very popular in the 50s. And little Jimmy Brown, dun, da, 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 da. It's all, Johnny Ray. If he your sweetheart, you know that song by Johnny Ray?
I know a little of Johnny Ray, but that one's not ringing a bell right now.
Yeah. So, that kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
my neighbor, who was 11, I was 6, 7, he played accordion. He'd come over and play in the kitchen. We had, a very small house. And my mom's eyes would light up. She's Italian. It's in their blood, that accordion. So when you're a kid, kids, they want to be loved more. They want to be approved of, just like you sitting right there. Which one didn't give you the love that you thought you deserved? Your mom or your dad? One of them was withholding it. And we're all trying to get that love and approval from them. That's the truth. So, and those of us who aspire, we have a bigger hole to fill. That's why we wave our arms and go, hey, look at us. We're important over here. Hey, look at over here. I'm smart. I'm good. So, that's how it starts. So I started playing accordion, 54. That's before. I mean, when it was rock in 88, 54, 55, they think that's the first rock record. I mean, is it? Who knows? So I'm before rock and roll music. So I was playing accordion.
So, what was your first rock record that you owned, or do you remember that first song that really grabbed you?
How much is that doggy in the wind? No, it would have been, it's over there on the wall. It's a framed record of Great Balls of Fire on the Sun label, signed by Jerry Lee.
Nice.
So that was the first single I bought. But then I think the next one might have been Oh Venus, Oh Venus. Could have been Frankie Avalon. Could have been the Purple People Eater. I don't really remember. My sister and I, we both bought singles then and put them on the little thing where it's this big and the lid comes up and you have to put the quarter in the stylus because it will keep the thing from. So I think Great Balls was the first single I bought. And but you couldn't be exposed. You're 20 years behind me, so you don't know none of this because it's people in that infant stage who heard this music. They have a different experience. So I come from music before rock and roll. Mm-hmm. So that's why my musical tastes are so expansive and not so narrow. Now you're a music lover. You got those shelves behind you waiting to collapse on you, kill you when you're not looking.
Yep.
So I don't have a great deal of respect or patience for people who only like one thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't have to respect you. I mean, know that you like what you like. Two kinds of music, kind you like, kind you don't. That's the end of the story. Is anything more subjective? No. But really, music is just too big and beautiful to be trapped staring at its toe or its kneecap. Mm-hmm. It's a huge thing where you could just dive in and receive joy in return that cannot be achieved by any other art form in the world. Kids, music is the greatest because it connects us immediately to the soul of humanity. And it does it through the auditory canal. No one knows why. It goes into your brain and you're dead. I dare you to go watch your favorite movie 100 times. You're not going to do that. But,
Yeah.
you know, you're not going to watch, read your favorite book 100 times. What? Go to the Louvre and stare at the Mona Lisa for a month? Nobody says that. The bra's not that good looking. Forget it. It ain't going to happen, Michael. Wake up. It's music. It's magic. Nobody knows how it happens. Nobody knows how it works. I'm part of it. And really, because my neighbor played accordion. And I saw my mom, she really loved it. And I thought, well, I can do that. And I started playing accordion. And it wasn't, the band was formed in my basement, the nucleus of Styx in 1962 by Panazzos and me. They lived right across the street from me. They were twin brothers, fraternal. And it's 2 years before I saw the Beatles. So we were playing standards, our parents' music, to make our parents happy. The Panazzo brothers, mom and dad, they were so proud, the three boys. Oh, they're so cute. So, and then we saw the Beatles. That was it. Epiphany. Off to the races, boys.
Did you all see it at the same time? Were you all in the same place, or were you at home with your families huddled around the TV?
Yes, I was about ready to go to the Sunday night dance to pick up chicks, if you catch my drift. And my best friend Dave, he had bought the boots, and he had the single, I Want to Hold Your Hand. If I'm see him in fidgety today, because I just went grocery shopping. That's my one trip out of the house every week. Twisted my neck. So there we are. I said, Dave, I don't like I Want to Hold Your Hand. Heard it on the radio. Still don't like it. It's okay. I didn't know it was going to be, She Loves You and All My Lovin'. And I saw her standing there. Any one of those threes would have had me, but not I Want to Hold Your Hand. It's okay. So, watching the TV with my friends, about to go to the dance with our suits and ties on. It was that era. Real cream, a little dabble, do you?
Right.
So, and then you close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Goodbye, Dennis.
That was it for you.
You're a goner. I just went, what? And you can't explain it to guys like you. You can't. I've tried. I mean, there was a collective culture in 1964. It wasn't filled with a niche or a genre. It wasn't so narrow-minded as it has become. You've become your own. We have now had become our own DJs, creators of playlists, and it's like homework. It's tedious.
Yeah.
So, at the risk of sounding like an old person who says, "Well, I remember when it was fun." I don't care. I'm an old person. I'm going to tell you it was, and you haven't got anything better. Or you're exposed to all kinds of music. Good for you.
Yeah,
That's nice.
I hear what you're saying about trying to explain to me what it was like to grow up seeing the Beatles. Is like when I try to explain to a much younger person what FM radio once was as opposed to what it is now. There's no comparison.
What radio?
Exactly.
It's pathetic. Now, and in other words, at the risk of sounding like Dean Martin, the first time he started Rolling Stones, I'll try to sound reasonable. Look, every generation gets the pop music they deserve. That's what I think. So, back in its infancy, even before me and Styx, people were mining the gold from this newly discovered musical form called rock and roll. We know the history. Was it the blues guys and the hillbillies and the guys over there and the gospel people? They all, mostly in the South, they're colliding. Pops out. Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Elvis, Terry Lee, Carl Perkins. I mean, you go right down the line. You could say Bo Diddley. All those people, they created something, and so all of us were fooling with it. It was brand new. We're going, oh, what about, right? What if we did So it was spectacular. Now, 70 years, 80 years down the road, people have kicked those 3 or 4 chords in the belly, in the ass, punched it in the snout, you know, did it in marinara sauce. Hey, let's try another. Let's put a brajol next to it. They've done everything with it, and it's getting, it's close to everything being a cliche. I'm sorry if one more mook breaks their guitar on stage, I might just have a stroke. I'm tired. I'm sick of it. Do your homework. Google Pete Townsend. Okay. And then check the date. 65, 66. Good grief. And then when somebody, it's like a fog machine. Every time somebody uses a fog machine, the crowd goes, ooh, he broke his guitar. What an asshole. Got to buy another one. This is my point of view.
Yeah.
You've gone down you see what I'm getting at here, Michael?
Yep. Yeah.
So what do you expect from people now that we've kicked that dog? I'm sorry, Peter. Terrible thing to say. I don't kick my dog. It died from kicking. No, I'm kidding. It died 17 years old. It was 18 years old. A Maltese lived 18. Anyway, last year. So that's another sad story. But you see what I'm saying? Are we trying to resurrect the sleeping dog? I don't know, but what are people to do? There are only so many ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And so the contest for me in making this 26 East Volume 1 and 2 was, Dennis, please, the concept was simple. Don't suck. This is the concept album. Don't, and you got to write songs. And that's the key to everything. So I didn't want to be a cliche of my own making.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, your turn.
What was the last record you listened to? Let's move it forward. And what was the last one that you listened start to finish?
Rubber Soul.
Okay. How long ago was that?
Last night. I was walking. When I walk,
mm-hmm.
music on it, you know this, Mike. You're not going, Jesus, how long have I been doing this? 30 seconds? It feels longer. I put on Rubber Soul. I put since the cootie, I walk in my house.
Mm-hmm.
The long house, so I don't even go outside because it's a little hilly by my house. Who needs it? So I put on music, all kinds of albums, some albums that I've never really listened to, because the critics say, "Oh, this is the thing," and I listen. I go, "What? Really? This is just me." So I put on Rubber Soul, but I had to find a capital Rubber Soul, not the one released in England, because they're different songs and they're different order. Are they trying to give me heartburn? I got to hear them in the right order. You know how this is, right?
Yeah. You have a very particular, one thing is right and the other thing is not right.
And Rubber Soul is way better than I remembered it. All the way I remembered it very fondly. I remember the first time I heard Rubber Soul, I went, what have they done? Is that an acoustic guitar? But it was Goodbye Beatlemania, Hello the Future.
Mm-hmm.
But
Are you a vinyl guy?
I wasn't smart enough the first 2 times I listened, because they went, eat, eat. And I was going, what about Hard Day's Night? Where's Beatleman? So, and then I went, oh my God, I'm looking through you. I love them. And all those songs, and I haven't thought about in a while. I've just played them and I'm walking, I'm smiling. Because a couple of days before, I put on, what's that album? Blah, 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 and Nico. Velvet Underground.
Which
critics love, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where you stand on this. Personally, I'm 74. I don't care. People have made up their mind about me. Mike, if they don't like me, fuck them. I rarely swear anymore, but I'm to the point where I go, I don't care. I'm going to tell you what I think.
Yeah.
That's to be praised. I listened, this is the 10th time I've listened to that album, and I go, the lyrics are banal. The music is like from amateurs. It's awful on any possible, people could like it. People like to be beaten when they're having sex. I don't understand that either. So, I'm not about to tell people what they're supposed to like, but I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to understand it, because there's some music that I don't like that I completely understand. There's
Yeah.
a difference. Where you
Right.
go, oh, I get that. I know why people would like that,
Mm-hmm.
but that's incomprehensible. So I'm putting these albums on and I'm walking. So to answer your question with a 20-minute answer, it's Rubber Soul.
Okay. Do you consider yourself a vinyl guy still, or do you listen to CDs, cassettes, digital? What do you listen to?
Well, I was a CD guy, but the world moves on, kids. It doesn't care. Here's what I would say. The world has made a choice. Did they want quality or convenience when it came to music? They chose convenience. Can I listen to this on my phone while I'm taking a leak? This is the decision people made. It used to be music you'd hear in your car, or you would sit down and take time to listen to something. But now, with the ubiquitous nature of devices, you can listen to it anywhere at any time. I mean, almost all of music's recorded history. My mom, I can't even understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put on YouTube, which is really improving, and put on my iPad and put my headsets on, which are really, they're studio headsets, and I'll listen. But really, when I was walking, I just had my iPad laying on the countertop, walking around, because I'm not at the point, I'm not judging the engineer and the mixer. I'm just judging the songs. It's the basic thing, because let's face it, when it went from the 50s to 60s to the 70s, in the 70s, everyone started getting gear. Where's the Marantz tuner? Remember the Marantz tuner? Everybody had one of those. And then you got your little speakers, whatever you liked, whatever you could afford. And you put the vinyl on and you listened, because it developed into a listening experience. But when I fell in love with music, it was mono, one earpiece in my ear with a transistor radio hidden under the pillow. So my parents didn't know I was listening to music when I was supposed to be in bed.
Right.
So if I could get enjoyment and a thrill out of that crap, I'm not an elitist to say to people, you can't enjoy music unless you hear its full fidelity. People have decided that they can. I mean, if you listen to the old phonographs on the 78s, people found great joy in music, even with that kind of quality. So I'm not going to say, oh my God, unless I believe it's best when heard as close to the creator's ideas as possible. That gives you the true experience of what they were shooting for. But it doesn't matter. Once again, I'm not an elitist to tell you, how you should get your enjoyment and pleasure.
Sure. Dennis, let's get into this.
One more thing, I didn't ask your question. Vinyl?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? What's wrong with you people? You remember how there's the first, you put to play the album on the very first time of the 45. That's the best it's ever going to sound. It's never going to sound that good again. Yeah. It's a what's the word? Deteriorating.
Yep.
Constantly.
Yeah. Especially if you have to put a penny on the stylus.
Or a quarter if it's really cheap.
Yeah.
So yeah. Vinyl is just, you know what it is? It's like the same people who love old cars. Yeah, they're great to look at, and then you have to drive them. This is the point with vinyl. The great thing about vinyl is, I just had this idea the other day. Tell me if you like it. When you get a download or a stream, Jesus, are we lazy? If we get a stream, I think you'd sell a lot more if suddenly you could push the button, poof, you could smell vinyl coming out of the screen of your device. So you go, oh yeah. But that's only for old people. But vinyl, kids, you know what's good about vinyl? The album covers. Oh man, become part of what's going on here. Jump in both feet. Don't go like this. You got a stream, you got a picture. Yeah, I like it. They don't like it. Delete, play. But this is what's wrong. Look at those things behind you. There are albums up there in your collection that you just played once and hated or didn't like, but you never threw it away, did you? You never threw an album away, even if you didn't like it. But why?
I've always gone back and revisited things because you change as you get older. You want to. That's my experience.
No, because it's a real thing and you can't bring yourself to do it.
Well, I mean,
That's
I
it.
think
No,
that's
no, no, no. It's not intellectual. I bought this. I paid for it. I'm not throwing it away.
yeah.
A download, you go to this. As you know, you can get it back. Throw the album away. Where's Kmart? Where's EJ Corvettes? Where's the record store? You got to go back. See?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I think there is a certain amount of hoarding when it comes to music collecting, for sure. But I'm glad you brought up the Beatles. We talked about the Beatles a lot because this new album, 26 East Volume 2, starts out with in my notes I wrote a love letter to the Beatles. Tell me about this Hello Goodbye.
I don't think I can say it any better than you just did. It's what it is.
Do you keep track of did you keep track of how many specific Beatles references were lyrically and musically in this song?
No. I just do stuff. And no, really. I don't. I just do stuff, and then it's up to other people to figure that out. I was bounded into that song was written for volume 1. It was divided into 2 volumes only because between my songs and Jim Peterick and we wrote like 18 songs to begin with, and the record company then said we want all of them, and I said you can't have all of them. Pick the ones you like, for God's sakes. I want to make one record and leave me alone. And they said no, we'll take them. And then they said there's extra lira involved, and I went, what's an Italian company? I said I'm not a math major. I'm not a math major, but if you say you're going to double the guarantee, I thought, well, I recorded them. You can have them. That's how it got divided. But Hello Goodbye was supposed to be the first song because 26, here's the tying thing. Here's the ribbon. 26 East, my address, my basement, my parents' home where the band was founded, the nucleus. That's where it began. Here's where it ends. Thank you. Good night. And then it became 2. So then I took Hello Goodbye and I put it on the second volume. And God, I love the song. I know, I don't love every song on the record. I think they're all good, but I love Hello Goodbye because it's the Beatles, man. And I got it right. It's, can you imagine the margin of error fooling with this stuff?
It can get campy really fast if you don't do it right.
I did it right. I defy anyone to say I didn't, because everybody I played it for, lots of people before I released, I didn't trip up. I didn't screw myself because the lyrics are so honest and open about what they meant to me and millions, billions probably of people. And I took their song titles and I weaved them into a story. So, and the paraphrasing of their musical styles, which I did, that was the part that was most judicious about, right? It's like, okay, you're going to go right up to it, but don't go over the line. It worked. And fundamentally, because the song as written, change the lyrics if you want. Arrange it in a way that doesn't immediately make you go Beatles. It's not a bad tune. It stands as a tune, right?
Yeah, it does. I would say from the 2 albums, this one grabbed me the fastest, and I think I like it the most off of the 2 volumes because you can feel your emotion that you put into that song to get it right. You can feel that coming back out of it when you listen to it.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. The Land of the Living is the second track. It kind of strikes me as a good anthem for coming out of the pandemic. It sounds like you're still kind of staying in your bubble a little bit, but now that we're getting out in the world and there's live shows again, and I'm getting out more, this strikes me as the perfect song for coming out of the pandemic, or at least things starting to open up and get a little better with the vaccines and everything. Was that
over
any
3
intention?
years ago when Jim Peterick was trying to convince me to make this last record, and I didn't want to. He sent me the bones of that song 3.5 years ago. And I said, okay, Jim, let's see if we can finish this song. And so we finished it together, but it was written before pandemic.
Mm.
And then as I held it from the first album, because it was finished and was going on the second, I called up Jim. I said, Jim, Land of the Living, are you shitting me? It's good to be back in the land. I thought, well, should we change the lyric to make it more pandemic centric? You know, to really say, without saying the word cootie 19. And he says, yeah, let's do it. And then I stepped back and I'd written 3 songs that were specifically about it this past year. And I thought, well, let's not beat this horse to death. Land of the Living, you know, since people don't really pay attention completely to the lyrics anyway, all they're going to remember, it's good to be back in the land of the living. It was really a song about our wives, collectively, both married a long time, you know, about that moment when love could bring you back from whatever depths you've sunk to by the relationship you can have with another person. I left it alone, but we recorded that 2.5 years ago. It was recorded then too.
Brings up a good.
Hey, it's catchy.
It is catchy. It brings up a good question. You know, I read the Goldmine interview where you talked about the song "I'm Okay" and how you weren't okay at that time. And I kind of wanted to ask you how you are doing. I mean, obviously none of us are doing as great as we would like to be, you know, in this time. But how are you doing these days?
Look, I got arthritis in my neck, if you want to know the truth, from playing accordion, playing piano. You know what they say? You know, beyond that, when you get to this age, and that's your, you know, it isn't fun, but so many people that I love have died during this pandemic, and most of them not because of COVID. And everywhere I look, people are telling me the same stories. You have this story too. You can't believe the people who have been affected in the last year and a half, because forget COVID for a minute. It's the overwhelming sense of loss of control that humanity is facing and has faced, which will invade the bubble, the illusion of your own life that you've created for yourself to protect us from the simple fact that we all know we're going to die even without the COVID. See, I try to give human beings a break, because really they're jackwagons too much of the time. Human beings are just, you know, what a piece of work they are. Because unlike your dog, you know, people, oh, I love my dog. It's the best. It gives me kissing and hugging and the companionship. Yeah, because it doesn't know it's going to die. You think dogs would be as happy? It's probably be looking over their shoulder a lot more, constantly barking. We do know this, and it's so. What has happened? It's reminded us of our mortality, right or wrong, Mike? Am I right?
I think so.
Yeah. So that's going to affect the mental state, affects the physical state. But too many people I've known and loved, it's been bad. So, but when you ask me how I am, I'm like you, man. Didn't I tell you in 1977? Deep inside, we're all the same. I said it. I meant it. I was a young man, and I said, you know, you can get all the money and all the fame, all the things that we tell ourselves that we must aspire to here in the capitalism, you know, the number one capitalistic society in the world. But ultimately, whatever hole we are all trying to fill, you know, to feel okay, cannot be filled by the things they tell us to, which is why I wrote The Grand Illusion, because we were selling albums and concert tickets. I told the audience, we're an illusion. We are an illusion that we create for your entertainment and maybe for your edification if you want to get fancy. But really, we're just you. We were looking at the bands from the shadow of the 14th row just a few short years ago. It's right there in the lyrics.
Yeah.
And so we do share a commonality that we're too quick to dismiss in search of joining belief systems, dogmas, ideologies, groups, coffee clutches, because people like to gather and say, well, you know what the problem is? Them. Yeah. Not us, them. And then now it's out of control because social media plays into it. Our media itself plays into the idea of dividing people from us. Yeah. And so now when you ask me how I am, I'm really concerned about us in this country and mankind in general. But since I'm an American, I say, how about this, human beings? Two things. Start with this. And I've been saying this recently. I try to say it in my music. I didn't put it in complete. I have no fear. That's a phone call. I have no fear of humanity. Two things. Number one, there's only one rule. It's the golden rule. Try it on for size. Yeah. If everybody follows that, guess what? Things will be better. Do unto others. This does not include masochists, but don't put them in here. But in general. And number two, I'm begging you, people, a little more humility and a lot less hubris. That's what I say. It's okay not to know what's going on because we don't. And the more we try to separate ourselves and deny the fact that we are all the same inside through, oh, that one looks different. That one believes in that God. This one believes in this politician. That one likes this one. This one. Thin crust pizza. Deep dish pizza. I mean, doesn't it nauseate you? Everybody has a bone to pick. Yeah. And I just say, go easy.
Makes sense.
That's how I am. Because I'm in my house stuck. And I have to think too much. This is never good. Go out and do stuff. Then your mind, but I've been thinking about it because if there's a listener out there who hasn't looked at what's happened in this country in the last couple of years and thought, where was I when this happened? What was I doing when it got like this? Really? Yeah. Come on.
So 26 East Volume 2, I feel like there's several songs on here that sound like, and I put this in my notes several times, classic Styx ballad sounds like a Styx song, good Styx intro, sounds like it could be on Crystal Ball. Was this just a product of looking back over your career knowing that this was probably the last album you were going to do?
I think I was the guy in Styx.
You were definitely the guy in Styx.
Yeah, and so, a lot of my solo career had been spent trying to be some guy not in Styx, because when I made those solo records, I was waiting for Tommy Shaw to get over his obsession about being a solo artist and get back in the band where he belonged. So I didn't do that Styx stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I was there in the room when it was invented. Tommy was not. He joined the already determined invention and fit in because he's a great talent. He didn't invent it. He joined it. So in my solo records, there's the people who love the Wooden Nickel records, or even the great A&M catalog. When I went and I did something different, purposely, so I wouldn't be robbing that which I felt belonged to the word Styx and not to me solely. Sound noble? It was. I said, I'll do something different. Mm-hmm. But when it became apparent, when I made 100 years from now, around 2007, 2009, it was clear to me I was no longer in the band. So I just said, well, of course can you do that stuff, Dennis? Yeah, of course I can. Mm-hmm. I was there when it was invented, and I was, kids, I was the main inventor. So that's a fact. You can like it or not like it. That is a fact. So when I did this record, the last two, I said, I'll do what I damn well please. Now, you see, the thing is, I made 8 albums that were very similar in Styx. Not identical, but a lot of them, from Styx 1 to Pieces of 8, had what I like to call prog light, mixed with hard rock, mixed with, you know what I mean? And then when you go like this, how, it's like what I said, a cliche. Well, what do I have to do now? I have to do more of that. You get the point where you go, I don't know if I've got, you know. So when I came to these last two, oh, let's go into the suitcase. Pulled that. Oh, I did that. How did you do that? Huh, I know how to do that. And people say, why don't you make a whole album like that? We want another Styx album. Another Styx album would require the three of us in the same room, and that ain't happening. I could make a Styx-like record, but a real Styx album would take different vocalists, different ideas, all coming under the banner of the Styx flag. It's not possible. But I think I can make a pretty damn good Styx-like record.
Yeah.
That's what I did. But you know what? I just didn't want to do that. I have other interests. I love melody. I'm taking you on a journey because I learned immediately from Elvis Presley after Hound Dog, there was Love Me Tender. I like them both.
Sure.
You don't. If you only like Hound Dog or Love Me Tender, good for you. Like I said, there's this big, beautiful woman that is music. And there's so many wonderful aspects. I can't just say, look at her ring finger. It's pretty. Okay.
You have
am I overwhelming you?
No, not really. I'm enjoying listening to you. I'll let you go, but because I enjoy listening. But I wanted to get to there's back-to-back songs, Your Saving Grace and Proof of Heaven, and it begs the question, about your spirituality, and are you a spiritual person, and were those two songs seated next to each other intentionally?
Yes, they were. There is only one question. That's it. Why? That's the only question. Everything is after that. Why are we here? That's it. Everyone has been trying to answer that question. It's just sprung out of the trees and started talking to each other. What do you think? I don't know. Why? So this is the question. And if you had to take all the religious people in the world, all the people who follow religion, not necessarily, the monks, wherever they are, high up, getting nosebleeds from the atmosphere, but I'm talking about regular people. If you had them take a lie detector, they would say this: I hope, but I'm not sure of anything. That would be the truth you'd get out of most people. But there's the facade. To be a believer, you have to be a true believer. And I said it in Show Me the Way in 1990. He said, every night I say a prayer in the hope that there's a heaven. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's you. That's most people. They hope. This is my whole philosophy for human beings. They latch on to rock stars, movie stars, politicians, religious leaders. Why? They're praying to God that somebody out there knows more than they do, because they feel like they don't know enough and they can't figure out what the hell's going on. So they pray that a guy like me has got to figure it out. I don't have it figured out. I'm you. But I'll write a song to make you think about what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Anybody who says they know, they're nuts.
Yeah.
Or they're lying.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are like when you go to a new place for the first time and you're not really sure where it is, and you look at someone and this guy seems to know where he's going, and you just follow along. Yeah. Because
we're scared. People, fear can be positive and negative, but most of us are looking for someone or something to shine the light on the correct path. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. So the Isle of Misanthrope is the one that's was released as a single. It's been getting a ton of plays at least on Spotify. I see that it's got exponentially more plays than the rest of the album. Came out first, obviously. A little bit of prog light, like you were talking about, progressive music. How much influence did progressive music have on you? When it sort of became in vogue in the 70s.
Well, the band actually came together with its first incarnation in 1970. And so you had a keyboard player like me that, had a degree in music. And I thought, well, this is a way Prague allowed keyboard players to exist on a plane that was almost as important as guitar players. But, rock and roll is really it's the realm of guitar playing first and foremost. So yeah, we did that kind of stuff. JC and JY, more JC and I than JY, though JY, he liked the Prague stuff as well. But he is at heart, give me a guitar, turn up the amplifier really loud, and let me stomp around the stage. He's a hard rock guy. That's who he is. The next ballad he writes will be the first. So these elements came together and we went down that path. But if you listen to Lady, the first minute of it's not a Prague song. Our first thing that broke us open was a pop tune that had the uninvited power chords jump in. This all these harmonies.
Mm-hmm.
We were inventing a style at that moment without knowing it. People say, "What's the first power ballad?" Some have said Lady. Now, I see Lady, to me, a power ballad is something that happened in the 80s. They're kind of turgid. They're romantic love songs where someone's playing power chords and solo, nondescript, behind to make it sound, make a rock band sound like a pop band, and make them acceptable to get on radio so you didn't scare the girls. This is what power ballads are. But if you're doing a power ballad, the subject matter, in my opinion, it's got to be love. It's romantic. That's why Stairway to Heaven is not the first power ballad, because it's not it's not a love song.
Right.
So I think the element is romance, and then the rest follows. But what Lady was an honest outcome of the people in the room. Here's the guy. Lady, when you're with me, I'm smiling. There's that guy. And there's the guy with the guitar. Gag, 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 gag. And I went, Lady of the morning. Those harmonies I wrote on it. And he just, how about if we go like this underneath and down. So that's a rock band entering a pop ballad. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's funny you went right to that, because that song was actually, I was thinking of it right when you started to talk about it.
Yeah, that's what that is. So on this last album, there's really only one romantic song, and that's Made for Each Other. Mm-hmm. I've made a lot of money and been very, very successful about musically explaining my relationship with my wife. Been married 51 years. There are people in this world, you see them all the time. They just want to rock. Okay. Here's AC/DC. They're never going to trick you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once again, there's more to life for me than just that. Mm-hmm. So when I do my records, I am going to play to one of my strengths. It's been proven. Google it. Millions of people like those things. And they like, let's imagine this. If I was as good at writing rock tunes as I am at constructing ballads, Styx would be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you went apples to apples, so there's the success and the impact of this song, name it, Lady, Babe, Best of Times, right? If it was just a rock song of that popularity, there'd be no question. But this happens to be something, since I'm keyboard and melody based as a writer, plays into what I do as a strength. So you're going to hear some of that stuff on here. Plus, if it's loud all the time, if anything is anything all the time, I'm annoyed. I don't even want to have sex for an hour. I'm sorry. If somebody said, would you like an orgasm for an hour? I go, that's got to hurt. Come on, Michael. For Christ's sake. Can I have a little balance in what I'm saying?
Yeah, you bring it up that you're a keyboard guy. It's funny because this is a very good guitar record. This volume two. Tell me a little bit about the musicians on this record that played with you.
Peter and I did a lot of stuff. He played bass. He plays all the guitars and bass on Hello Goodbye. We used Hofner bass. We used the Countryman, Gretsch Countryman. We used the 12 string, the Rick 12 string. We used Ludwig drums. Everything. Three guys did that song.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Breckenfeld, Jim, and me. He played bass. He played the rhythm guitars. Most of the solos are played by, I think, Mike Aquino plays the most solos. August plays one. Jimmy August is in my band, and Jimmy Leahy plays one. And there you go. And Jim plays one on the end of Proof of Heaven. And then, the great Houdini, Tom Morello, decided to play on The Last Guitar Hero after I asked him. So those are the guys playing guitar. The bass is Jim Majors, Jim Major, singular, plays on Isla Misanthrope. Him and my son are in the same band, so I brought that rhythm section in. And I play synth bass on some of this stuff. But all the keys are me. What else? Who played the Vuvuzela? Nobody. It's not on this record. Yeah.
That's good. That's probably a good thing. You talked about it had to be special for you to have your son on the album. I mean,
you got a son?
I have a daughter.
I'd like to work with your daughter on something like that. It would not be that easy, would it?
No, it wouldn't be easy, but I think it would be. I think I would look back on it with a great deal of satisfaction afterwards. Is that where you're at right now?
Boy, do I. Absolutely. But famous fathers and their sons, it's tricky, man. My kids have told me what it was like to live with a famous dad. And I had no way of understanding because my dad was Maury the printer. I mean, nobody said, "Oh, your dad, huh? He can print." So my son is my LD. He does all my staging and lighting. Has for 18 years, and he plays drums. I said, "I want you to play the last song." He played it, and he played the grand finale with John Panazzo's ride cymbal. That was a gift. He was influenced by John. He just did great, didn't he? He played. I said, he played it like John. He didn't play it like going to, where it's all about the drummer.
Yeah.
Here's what I said. Everybody who plays on my records better serve the song or go get your own record deal. This is about songs. This isn't about you showing off, unless I tell you can show off here. If you're just in it, don't do anything that makes the listener, this is my view of music, makes the listener think about something they're not supposed to be thinking about, which is the song and the singer. That's it, baby.
Yep.
And so Prague, the thing that turned me off finally to just doing Prague stuff is, please, we know you practice for hours in your bedroom and you understand time signatures and key changes, and you write lyrics that nobody understands on the planet. Okay, fine. Okay, we can admire it. But for me, I don't care. If I liked King Crimson, it was Court of the Crimson King. And it was 21st Century Schizoid Man until they went to 8 minutes sounding like they were eating pizza and getting carry-out takeout while they were tuning their instruments. I have no time for that.
Mm-hmm.
74, I was right, life was short. Get the song. Give me, you know what I mean? I don't mind long songs, but God bless.
Yeah. There's No Turning Back Time is another favorite of mine on this record. And you bring up regrets, and it made me wonder, with this sounding so much like classic Styx, is one of those do you have musical regrets? Do you wish you had stayed true to yourself more than trying to distance yourself from the Styx sound, like on Desert Moon and the albums that followed?
No, most of my regrets are personal, not professional. I did nothing to get myself removed from Styx in 1999. I got sick. I got very sick. And you see these sunglasses? I have light sensitivity from, I'm a long hauler of a virus I got in 1998 that nobody understood. Because when I went to the doctors 3 weeks after getting this thing with all these symptoms, I said, I lost my sense of smell and taste. What the hell happened to me? And they would look like this. What? They didn't know. You hear me? They didn't know what to tell me. So now the light, I can't deal with it. And every year it got worse. So now I'm in the, if I'm in my house, I don't have these houses designed to make you think I'm cool. I have mine because my eyes they're no good with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the question?
Just what your regrets were, that you might have been talking about in that song.
No, I should have been in Styx the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And no, wait a minute. Tommy Shaw shouldn't have quit in '83. Left the biggest band in the country, arguably, to pursue a solo career, leaving the four of us standing there going, what? He quit? The three guys that remained, J.Y., John, and Chuck, they wanted me to replace him. That's how mad they were. He just, get rid of him. I said, wait a minute. Ooh, Nelly. Let him, because I knew fundamentally how that band worked. You just don't go, well, let's just replace him. We tried it with Burtnick in 91, and we're professionals. It was okay. But I knew always what the fans wanted. They wanted those mooks in the same way I wanted the Beatles on the stage, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't want Rod Stewart to join the Beatles. I don't care who it was, right? I wanted those guys. So that's what happened. So, no, I don't regret anything I did musically. Nothing.
Good. I want to talk about the grand finale, the Grand Illusion finale. There, you mentioned it lyrically earlier. It kind of ties the two 26 East albums together because you stopped. You had the closer on the first one was AD 2020, which goes back to Paradise Theater. Obviously intentional. What was the statement there? What were you going for? Just to say goodbye and to leave your final thoughts?
When it was going to be one album, I knew from the beginning it was going to go. So my friends will say goodbye because time is claimed. That's it. I said, I'm starting. You see, you have to have an arc. It starts with the Beatles. It ends with Good Night from Paradise. Taxi! And then 2. I went, how am I going to end this one now? I thought, I thought that's all, folks, would be good. You know what? People who like rock music, especially the prog thing, they're so serious. They don't like rock stars to be funny. Well, that's hard because the guys in the band were funny people. John Panazzo, me, all the guys had great senses of humor. So I looked at it and I went, is there a better piece of music than the grand finale for us? I don't think so. Because it says everything it needs to say, and it's in 2 minutes. And it sounds like the closing of the door to me. So I said, we'll do that. And I won't go like this. I won't get cute. I won't say, well, let's do it in Polish. And in 3/4 time, with a klezmer band. I don't think so. We'll just do it. Okay? Because at that moment, I'm saying that this audience, remember that? That was magic. In your opinion, and in my opinion, don't forget. And I say, and deep inside, all the same, and it goes up to the high C, and there's Matt, my son on drums, and me singing. That's all I need. I don't need no more. What'd you think when it?
I thought it was a great way to close both of those albums. When I heard them, I thought this is a great way to close the album. It's a great way to reflect on just a tremendous career that's touched a lot of people. You see the shelves behind me. You don't see the shelves over here where all my Styx albums are. But there is an emotional note that it goes out on, especially if you were part of that journey, listening to those records when you grew up. And I think it's a very nice way to go out. And I think that you probably did it the right way, looking at it, the closing the Paradise and then coming out with the second album, having to come up with something. I think you probably couldn't have come up with a better closing statement than that.
Thank you. That was my intention. The album itself, Styx 2, Freudian, Volume 2. It encompasses, I think, who I have been musically in popular music. And I'm happy with that. You know, when people see my name, there's always the conditioning that happens culturally, society-wise, about who I am and what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And someone mentioned recently about The Last Guitar Hero. Did that surprise you? You hear Mike Morello. Mike Morales is my drummer. Tom Morello playing on there?
No, I don't think so. I didn't
Okay.
think it was a surprise.
It was to me. I wish you'd have told me. Because I had no idea it was a Styx fan. So that's all I tried to do. Just be honest. And I know music is more important than lyrics. Always have been, always will be. You can see it anytime you're in a concert with 10,000 people. They'll start the lyric and then they go, blah, 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 blah. They know the melody, but some of the words escape them. This is proof positive why music is more important. But the lyrics on this album and Volume 1, read the lyrics, try to understand what I'm saying, and then you know me. I'm not hiding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be cryptic. I try to be as poetic as I can be, under the guise of, hey, these things have to rhyme here a little bit, and give you a sense of what I think. Because all I ever do is put chords down I like, put notes on them that I like, put words on the notes, and give you my point of view. And I hope you, Michael, will find yourself in my story. Because when I write this music and it's recorded, it goes out, those songs don't belong to me anymore. They belong to you and everyone else who likes them. Then you make them your own. What's the song that I wrote that you think of that girl, that guy, that moment, that parent, that time? That's what music does. But I don't know you. So then what you'll do is you make that music yours. It's not just me.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the music you really cherish. You hear that song, you think, wow, you're connected to a memory.
Yeah, how many people have told you over the years that their song was Babe, for example? I mean,
lots of people.
Probably
And
more than one.
I wish more of them were in my band. Nonetheless, look, all that nonsense about style of music and that it's been blown up by my former bandmates after they replaced me in an effort to tell this story. Well, if you didn't like X or Y, we didn't either, and that's why he's no longer in the band. What? We just did 97. We did these big reunion tours, hugely successful. We're making a brand new album, and I got sick. And then suddenly we're going to relitigate Mr. Roboto from 27 years ago? What did that have to do with anything? Nothing except this. You want to tell this story, Michael? Yeah. DeYoung got sick. We want to go on the road. He's not ready. We're going. Is that a story you want to tell?
No, it doesn't put anybody in a very good light that's wanting to get out. I mean, it's kind of, I think the same thing happened with Journey with Steve Perry's hip replacement and all of that. So
different though. Wait a minute. Wait. Unique situation. Steve
Sure.
Perry doesn't. He don't want to go. He's made it clear. Dennis DeYoung was going, give me 6 months. I'm starting to get better.
Yeah.
Okay. And two guys, not a band. Don't say the word Styx. Don't get in your mind, American public or wherever else this podcast goes. It was three of us left. Chuck retired. He had full-blown AIDS. He was trying to save his life. And those two guys were anxious to get on the road because that's where they made their money. Nothing wrong with money. I think it's a good thing. But can you just, and of course they're going to say, well, we gave them the opportunity. We told them, show up, otherwise we're replacing you. And if you'd have showed up, I was sick. And the fact is, they'll also say, well, he could have come, we could have done some shows without him, with a replacement, and then he could have come back in. What are you talking about? We've already seen that doesn't work that well. We replaced Tommy. We did okay. People wanted to see Tommy. I was right. I'm going to say, I was right. People want to see Tommy. Am I genius? No, but I was on stage watching the audience for 10 years. I think I caught the drift of it all. So at the risk of sounding like an embittered old fool, I'm telling you, we had a lot of good times together. I don't have those feelings about those guys, and most of the stuff that they say and they've done is to protect their decision, not because they really feel that way about me. They don't. But when you take a position at the top of your lungs and get a certain group of people to follow you, believing that, you're gonna have to pry that baloney from their cold dead hands. So it was not an artistic decision in 1999 to replace me. It was money and power, because that's what makes the world go around, baby. Now, what else? Okay, so overall, your favorite tracks are, well, Hello, Goodbye. You already said that.
Yep. I love the I Love Misanthrope, and There's No Turning Back Time. Those are probably the three that stand out the most for me that I go back to. But I mean, I don't think there's any real filler on this album. I think that your voice sounds great. I mean, I can't imagine sounding that good at 74, but you sound good. The band sounds good. There's some terrific guitar solos. I mentioned the guitar work on this album.
Say that again. I'm
terrific.
sorry. I've listened to some of the new songs and stuff that Tommy and JY are doing. I know they just want to rock. That's what they claimed, didn't they? I think you've listened to The Mission, because that's your job.
Yep.
And I think, okay. What? That's what I think. And the guitar players on my record, they're pretty good players, aren't they?
I would say so.
Yeah, and they're playing stuff that you might remember. I gave the guitar. You said it. Hey, go ahead, guitar player.
Yeah,
play.
Well, nobody can claim that Tommy never wanted to do ballads that own Tommy's solo albums, because I have some and they have ballads all over them. So
here, let me get it. Crystal Ball. Have you ever seen the Crystal Ball? Do you follow that Crystal Ball the way he brought it into the band?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I love Tommy Shaw as a musician. He's great. He is multi-talented. His strength as a writer, as a performer, he can do anything because he's that good. He's natural. But as a songwriter, it's the acoustic guitar and his sense of how he connects to it. Crystal Ball that could have been an America song. Crosby, Stills, all that other stuff you hear in Crystal Ball, that was me. And JY, mostly me. I told him, man, you got to sing Crystal Ball. You got to sing the title. Okay. And when the band comes crashing in, like the uninvited power chord, that sticks. We just took Tommy Shaw and I said, well, here, we'll make them part of this thing. And I said, when he brought it in, I says, you have to sing this by yourself. Because if there's three people singing, it's so personal to him. That's how we make you a star. You go to the center mic and you sing that, boom. All three of us, different song. Renegade, you know the story. You're hip to this. It was just like that Crystal Ball that you heard. Remember that It sounded just like that. It was very sweet. Again, like Crosby, Stills and Nash, America, 3-part harmonies and minor key this time. I said, Tommy, you got to sing this better yourself. And it's a rock song. I know you could. I said, what's this like if it's a rock song? He had the Les Paul, about da dum dum jump dum 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 jump, and the band jumped in. Rock song. Boat on the River. Man in the Wilderness. But they're acoustic songs first. All of them he brought in, with the exception of Blue Collar Man and Too Much Time. Those were not acoustic songs. But that beautiful catalog of songs that people love about Tommy are driven by the acoustic guitar. And there's nothing wrong with that. Do you know the song Count on You by Tommy? Did you ever hear that one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What? Okay, so this is my point. It's disingenuous. It was made up to say the guy who wrote Castle Walls and Grand Illusion and Sweet Madam Blue and Born for Adventure and Lorelei, and I could go on. He's just a balladeer. No, I've had success with those songs. So that's a good thing because, man, the bank accounts just blew up. Do I sound like I'm making excuses, or I'm just telling you what it is?
No, you're, I think it's important for everybody to be able to tell, their own point of view and not to have to answer to a point of view that's being put out by somebody else.
It's a political statement to cover up the fact that money and power are at the root of everything in life. And that's okay. But here's the thing that just crushed me. This beautiful fan base we had. So loyal. Blown apart by me being replaced. It has been blown apart. The anger, the vitriol, the hatred, unwarranted for either side, that I have absolutely bemoaned from the minute it began and preached to our fans to rejoice in the music and not listen to the noise. That's hurtful, because 96 and 7 we came back. What a joy. Did you ever see those shows?
I saw the Return to the Paradise show in, it was an outdoor place in central Ohio. I'm not even sure if it's there anymore, but yeah, I saw you guys were with Kansas.
Miraculous. Tell me it wasn't.
Oh, it's a fantastic show.
It's like what, those guys are not in the Hall of Fame? How does that happen? Okay. Yeah. Don't get me on that thing.
Don't get me started on the Hall of Fame.
That's magic. Those guys together made magic, and that's what I always believed. And my last 2 albums, I'm just trying to pay tribute to what I have done musically and give the fans, one more spit around the block with me. Now, the people, something that want to go with me, Billie Eilish is very good for what she does. You could go over by there.
Yeah, I think your fans are going to be pretty happy with this one. If they don't already have it, they should go out and get it. It's out. You can get it in all the normal places, and you can get it in vinyl if you don't mind your medium degrading, deteriorating.
I'm not worried about losing that many fans over that shit, because really, guys, and listen. You know what I think? I'm happy you like it, because then you can see the album cover. Now, here's the joke of it. Somebody mentioned, occasionally I'll see this in reviews. I like the record. It's very good. He said, but the album cover, is he trying to be Sinatra? What is this throwback? They don't even get us Meet the Beatles.
Yeah, yeah.
So what am I supposed to say to those people? What?
It's the right people will get it. It's kind of like, a comedy. The right people will get the humor in the comedy, and the right people will get the reference from your album cover, which, as you said, it's an homage. It's another part of the love letter that you've written to the Beatles.
Sue me.
Well, hopefully that won't happen. Dennis, I gotta let you go. I've enjoyed this conversation so much. I could take it all day, but I feel already guilty about taking so much of your time.
I got to get the next one right now.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on Michael's Record Collection. Appreciate it, and best of luck with 26 East Volume 2.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. Take care.